Okay, so thank you to Junior Mechanic for the thumbnail. So what have we got here then? So this is a Mitsubishi i-miev. It's fully electric. It is it's not very common. It's quite narrow and quite tall, but it's built as a Japanese K car, KEI, the sort of Japanese city car sort of classification. So yeah, it's they did petrol versions of these, and then they sort of converted them to electric. It's not that common, but I really like them. I think they're quite super cool, really. Kind of bubble car look about them. Yeah, it's broken. So yeah, these cars, test ones came out in 2009, the sort of pre-production test models. Yeah, they weren't really available to buy until about 2010. So this is basically one of the first ones that you could actually go to Mitsubishi and buy. Lots of the early ones were leased to companies. They were horrendously expensive, something like the best part of 30 grand. Yeah, I think they're really cool. They drive really nicely, kind of go-kart feel. They're quite basic, but yeah, they go really nicely. So yeah, so Citroën and Peugeot also branded these. So produced the Peugeot Ion and the Citroën C0. They were made by Mitsubishi, sort of came out of the same factory, but with their badges on. So you see some of them. They're not that common, but yeah. But I've basically had loads of them. I've owned about 10 of these for repair, as in bought them with faults, fixed them, run them for a while to make sure they're okay, and then sold them on. And I've also fixed a few common issues for other people on these as well. So yeah, so I bought this one. It was a car sales garage bought a number of cars, and this was one of them. It's a garage that did like used cars, does like small petrol cars. Just got this with it. He said it drove initially. He didn't really know much about electric cars, so kind of left it sitting, and now it won't charge. Kind of won't start, won't charge, which is interesting. So we'll have a look inside in a minute, have a look at the dash. The most interesting thing about these cars, I think, is that because they were available to buy from 2010, and certainly for companies to lease from 2009 as a sort of pre-production test models, cheap test lease for companies, that makes these cars the world's first highway capable mass production electric car. So they were highway capable because you can do motorway speed in this. It's not like a G-Wiz that does 50 or whatever, that's a quadricycle. This is a proper car with airbags. It's got 4 seats because it's quite narrow, but that's just because it's a Japanese K car classification. It is just a small car. But yeah, this is part of EV history, obviously, like a Nissan Leaf, available from 2011, but this beat it. So unfortunately they were really expensive, which kind of yeah, probably put people off, and quite quirky, but I think they're cool. So yeah, a little bit about the architecture of them. Really, they're quite a simple architecture in EV terms. There's obviously not much of a bonnet on them. We'll have a proper look inside in a second, but yeah, so the batteries are sort of underneath between the 4 wheels. The control, the motor, and the sort of motor controller and charger are in the boot, or under the boot floor, I should say. Yeah, so the EV architecture, if you're if you work on EVs, some of the connectors on these don't have interlocks, which keeps things a little bit interesting. And if you don't know what that means, then don't play with the orange stuff, I suppose. So yeah, let's have a little look inside and see what it does. So it's in a reasonable condition overall. They can suffer with a little bit of rust, but yeah, the arches are all sort of good and that, so it's done pretty well, to be fair. So what does it do and what does it not do? So yeah, it's quite surprisingly spacious inside, to be honest. Not really surprising it's only got 2 seats in the back, because you just wouldn't fit. It wouldn't be pleasant at all. But quite a cool, I'll try and move back a bit, but quite a cool interior. Yeah, this one's in pretty good condition, so let's see what it does and doesn't do. It beeps because it's Japanese. So obviously turning the key, nothing happens, it's not starting. We've obviously got a warning light there. It's only done 27,000 miles, which is not a lot. And so I've worked on quite a few of these, so there's a few telltales. So you can see that battery light's flashing. This is what normally happens when the battery's dead flat. but it also happens if there's a high voltage battery issue, and that's what I suspect in this car. There's a common issue with the onboard chargers, but in that case you can generally drive the car but not charge it, so not plug it in and charge it. But you would see the battery range remaining. Yeah, okay, it could have been driven till it's flat, but just from chatting to the seller, I think that's not the case. So yeah, I suspect high voltage battery fault. It's not been driven for quite a long time. It's been sat for a while, so that has an impact on what sort of state the battery's in. But yeah, it's 14 years old. I've fixed loads of these, and yeah, I'm basically gonna try and fix this one. So yeah, if I guess if people, you've heard down the pub that EV batteries don't last long and then you have to buy a new one. It's like, well, yeah, I'm planning to fix this, and I'm not going to do it by replacing the whole battery because that's cheating. We're going to work out what the actual fault is, do some diagnostics, and yeah, get to the actual fault, replace the faulty part, and fix it. That's the plan. So yeah, next video is going to be diagnostics, so a couple of bits of diagnostic equipment, looking through the live data, fault codes, all that kind of stuff to work out what the fault is. But yeah, this is basically what it's doing. It won't charge, so nothing happens if you plug it in, won't start, and a nice warning light. So there we go, that's the car, and yeah, we're going to fix it. So we'll catch you later. All right, cheers.